Good morning, babes, and welcome to my second podcast of my YouTube channel. I'm coming to you from Baltimore today from a very dreary scene. It has been quite overcast and hasn't quite rained here. It's been like drizzling and all of that nonsense. So fall is definitely here. I think we had the first official day last week, and now we are definitely seeing all of the weather changes that come with fall or autumn, whichever one you prefer. Today's video is a little different than my last one, so my introductory video might be over here in the recommended videos tab for you. It may be, it may not be. If not, just click on my little icon down here and go watch my introductory video, which explains like why I do what I do, my Technicolor aesthetic desires, and also a bit of where I come from. This video is going to be a lot different. I'm going to do hopefully more showing than telling, which I'm already starting to talk a lot, so please bear with me as I figure out this beautiful balance that needs to happen. But yeah, I'm going to show a lot of the yarns that I currently have and what projects I'm planning on doing with them. So as a little bit of a disclaimer, this may just be because I am a new yarn person. I do not like having a large stash. I think it's really overwhelming. And I've been moving a lot the last 4 years, and so I get really frustrated having to take the same box to house to house to house, especially if I haven't even used any of this stuff. So I have a small bin, which I don't think you really want to see the bin itself, but I have a small bin that's it's actually full to the brim right now with yarn. But a lot of this is meant for a greater purpose. And then I have my neighborhood fiber company. So yeah, I do record these off of photo booth, so everything is going to be flipped backwards, which is kind of sad. But eventually I'm going to get my tripod and my camera set up, and I'll be able to record maybe a little bit crisper videos for you all. So you just want to see the yarn that I have? And that's why I hope this dreary day can actually show off the colors that I have. If not, maybe I'll show you all some of the yarns again. Well, you'll see them again, because they'll pop back up when I'm showing you the in-progress stuff. And I'm warning you now, there he is. So, my cat Beau, who was not in Colorado with me for my first video, is definitely here with me today. And he is currently laying on my feet. You might see his tail. My setup right now is not a tripod. It is a box with my computer on top of it, so it's a bit precarious. So I'm making it wiggle now. He may make it wiggle in a little bit. We'll just see what happens. But if you hear purring or you see a tail or a face or whatever, actually I'll just show his beautiful little face right now. Oh, come here, puppy. This is Beau. This is my big boy. Beau, look at the camera. This is my beautiful baby Beau. We can call him a co-host. Oops. Oh. Maybe he won't come back. He probably will. Okay, so do I want to start with the projects or the yarn? So I'm going to start with some yarn that I actually don't like that I have, but because I have so much of it and I don't like having a stash and I don't like keeping stuff, I'm trying to figure out ways of using the yarn. So after I finished the fringe shawl, Stephen West fringe, I went actually I hadn't even finished the shawl yet, but I went onto his Ravelry page and I was wanting another pattern from him. So I went on there and I wanted to experiment a bit more with texture this time compared to color, but I wanted to still play with color obviously in some way. and kind of use him as a reference. And one of the things that I was noticing a lot, maybe that's popping up in other worlds too, is that there's a lot of neutrals and then there's these like bright colors. So using the neutrals to really accent the accent color. So I went to Neighborhood Fiber Company, which is based here in Baltimore, and I took my pattern with me, and I got 2 balls. Well, I got 5, but here's 2 for now. This nice light green that has a bit of variegation in it, that you can't really tell, sadly. And then this darker, like olivey color, which is really beautiful. And then I got these 2 other ones. So this wonderful, like beigey tan, but it has these flecks of orange and flecks of, I'd call them green. They read as green. So it's a really nice neutral because, especially with the other colors that I picked for this shawl specifically, this one really compensates well because it has that greens in it. To really give myself a bit more things to play with, I have this nice purple. And then the yarn that looks good when they're all together in these like balls and in their skeins, they all look good, but when I actually started knitting this one up, it caused me a lot of problems. So this is an orange, a bit of variegation, so it has light bits and it has darker bits. And this one is really bright. And that's the reason why I actually picked it, is because it was so bright. So I started knitting up Stephen's Glacial Sweep, which was the one that I started after his fringed pattern. And I was using all of those colors. And I realized 2 things while I was in the process. So I bound this off because I kept putting it away and kept being afraid to pick it back up. And so I just realized I need to stop and use my time for other things that I'm actually more committed about doing. So here it is, more up close. This was the beginning of my Glacial Sweep. I took reference from Exploration Station, so I changed the color at each stage, but there's no like border in between, which is what I think he added in that one. I didn't want to buy that pattern. I wanted to buy Glacial Sweep because of its textured forms of using garter stitch and then also stockinette and just giving this like really beautiful balance. But because I read the pattern wrong, because I was a beginner, I thought that I could get the same look. All of his photos for Glacial Sweep are done in his worsted weight size, so the larger one. And I bought the yarn for the smaller one because it was cheaper and I got more yarn. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. But because I'm now more learned in what I'm actually doing, I realized that this is not what I wanted to go for. I want warmth more than I want art right now. And I feel like lace is a bit more art than it is warmth. So I bound this off. I have no idea what to do with it. Maybe I'll hang it on this gallery wall. I feel like it deserves to be somewhere. Because I spent so much time on this that I want to do something with it. I probably need to weave in these edges and figure out where to hang it. But the other reason why I put this one away is because, and it's reading a bit probably now on this screen, is as I started adding that orange in there, it started reading, here comes Beau, it started reading as like kitschy Halloween to me, and I really didn't want to have a scarf or a shawl that I was going to be really hesitant to wear on most days of the year. So I bound this off. I still have the yarn, so I'm trying to figure out what to do with those yarns, and that's where my next few things are going to come into play. So I have all this fingering weight yarn now. I don't really like the fingering weight yarn, but I know that there's definitely a time and a place for it. So I went onto Ravelry and I looked up some free patterns because as I'm learning new skills especially, I don't like buying a pattern. I think that's probably pretty common for most people. I don't like spending money on a pattern that I don't know. I like being able to preview a pattern first, but I understand why that's not possible. Just to be able to see if it's too complicated for me or whatever. And I went onto Ravelry and I was like, okay, I want to do some socks, I think, because that's the kind of the weight of yarn that I have. Some socks or maybe some fingerless gloves. So then I found this pattern, and you can see all the woven edges. But I found this pattern for rag rug mittens. I'll get up close. So I used all of the yarns that I just showed you that were supposed to be for that shawl, except for the orange, because I didn't want it to read as Halloween again. And this has been a really interesting thing. I just bound it off this last weekend. I still have to make the other hand. And obviously weave in all of these tails that I have. But this was interesting because I learned this twisted knit ribbing. I learned some decreases in the actual color changes here. I will have to actually put in the thumb gusset, so that's going to be a whole slew of techniques to learn. And then it started to increase down at the bottom here, and then another ribbing. So it was interesting. I also did this in the round with the magic loop method. So learning that too was really fascinating, and just how quick I am now, but also learning how stockinette and garter stitch are different when you're working in a loop compared to back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I messed up a little bit. There's definitely some purl bumps up here that I'll have to replicate in the other one that were supposed to be stockinette looking, or they're supposed to be knit stitch. But I just didn't realize that you don't have to flip back and forth between knit and purl when you're working in the round. But now I have this one done, and I have to just make up the other one. It was a really quick thing. I don't think the thumb's going to take very long. But I'm excited to finish this, and this one's completely for me. And it's just been really nice to like have a small little project that I can work on that I know is going to go back to me, and all the hard work that I put into it will be for me. So after that one, or maybe at the same time, I don't know when I'm going to start these, when I have a bit more time, I guess, I'm going to be knitting up a bunch of socks, but they're not full socks, because I, once again, want to test out, practice before I actually delve into making a whole pair of socks. So I'm probably going to use these two, the neutral tone, and then this like lighter green, or maybe the darker green, I'm not sure. And I'm going to make 2 pairs of yoga socks. So basically yoga socks are socks, but they don't have heels and they don't have toes. And they're kind of just there to go around your bottom part of your leg and then around the middle part of your foot. And it's a lot so that people can still have grip while they're doing yoga, but you can also keep yourself a bit warm. So I'm going to be making 2 pairs of those and just kind of seeing how that goes for me. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the double pointed needles or the magic loop method, but so that's everything that's in my bag. So I have other stuff that's in this box, which I'm dragging closer to me. Let's see. While I was at Joann's, I grabbed this, which is kind of silly, and I'll show you a bit up close. But it's this acrylic mohair. As I said in my first video, all of those yarns that I just showed you, all of the yellow, green, and gold, basically, they're all fingering weight wool by Neighborhood Fiber Company, which is an amazing company based out of Baltimore. And they hand dye everything. Their workshop is beautiful and bright, and it's in an old firehouse. And I just love everything that Karita is doing, not only just in the dyes and the work that she's making, but also just in like how she runs her business, and everything's wonderful. And at Wax and Wane, my small business, we've been doing a lot with Karita and Neighborhood Fiber Company doing natural dyes at her workshop. So it's been a really great process to work with her. And then obviously like being surrounded by those yarns and just being able to look at them and then, you know, bring them back home and work with them on a larger scale has been really great. So but I'm not opposed to using acrylic, especially if I'm making a gift for someone that I don't know if they're going to like what I'm going to make or not. So this is Buttercream Luxe Craft Mohair Metallic, and you can see it has a bunch of variegation in it. Has that nice like mohair cloudiness to it. Can't really do the makeup tutorial hand thing, right? And this is going to be really interesting to knit up. I have a pair of arm warmers that I found, like these Jane Austen styled arm warmers that have these diamond patterns in them from the knit and pearls that you get from changing back and forth. And so these will make 2 of them. And these are for a person who's very near and dear to me. And I just hope that they actually like the colors that I picked for them. I think they will. And I think they're going to be great. And if they don't like them, then I'm just going to keep them for myself and use them. These arm warmers don't have a thumb gusset, so I probably should have done those before I did those fingerless gloves that I showed you, because they kind of just set like here and they go like all the way down your forearm. So that's going to be really interesting to actually work with and play with the mohair and play with the patterning that happens inside of that pattern. Once again, I will disclaim that all of these patterns that I talk about, I watch my video back through after I'm done and I write myself little notes. So I go back and I find all of these people, I link all of their websites, I link all of the patterns that I talk about in the description below. And so you can just go and watch my video and just enjoy and have fun. And then you can go later and actually find the patterns. So I'm actually going to pop up on my YouTube right now because I had this wonderful person almost immediately after I posted my video. She got on and she subscribed to my channel and she wrote me a comment and she liked my video, and I just want to make sure that I actually say her name right and say thank you, because she followed my directive and she actually sent me some patterns that she's working on right now. Chi Sweets is what her YouTube channel is called. And she actually sent me some of her shawl patterns that she's going to be working on. They're both crochet, I believe. I'm going to pop those open too. One of them I absolutely love. It's like this color blocked crochet rainbow shawl. And the other one is called Hitchin a Ride. It's a nice like half moon shape. It also kind of has has these jaggedy edges on them. So I'm going to link both of them below as well. And thank you once again, Chi Sweets, for all of your love that you showed to my channel when I first posted my video. And I hope that you see this next one, and I hope that you see that I'm talking about you. So yeah, all of this like mohair and fingering that I've been working with, I wanted to do another project that was very different, and I wanted to get back into crochet because that's one of the loves that I have. So maybe the Chi Sweets, the things that she sent me, maybe I can work on those because they're crochet, or I have some other things in this bin that I can show off that maybe will help me with my crochet journey. But I started talking about this last week, and I am able to actually show the yarns this week. These are all Line brand. Yeah, Line brand yarn, woolies, thick and easy, 80% acrylic, 20% wool. These are, let me actually get this one in the light. This one's, it's reading as red on the screen, but it's like a rusty orange. This nice neutral tonality that has these flecks of like black and gold, and then this gray. So I have 5 skeins of this. They're all like 100 yards, I think. My partner picked these out. We went to Joann's together a few days before. We actually had to move him up to Pittsburgh, so he is currently in Pittsburgh now, starting a wonderful job. And I wanted to work on this Edwardian scarf, which was from LoopnThreads, who's actually based out of Alexandria, Virginia, which is actually really close to me. So LoopnThreads, if you're watching this, I would love to come and hang out with you sometime. Maybe we can knit together or crochet together. But yeah, I love his patterns. A lot of them are these like big bulky yarns that he uses. and obviously these really iconic like blue plastic, huge Q-sized hooks. I think his pattern calls for something smaller, but the Q is going to work just fine. So I'll link the Edwardian below. It's going to be huge, and it's going to be bulky, and it's going to be beautiful, and those are very much my partner's colors, so it's going to be great when it's finished. And he already knows very well. He's seen the pattern. He's picked out the yarn himself, so none of it's really a surprise, but it will probably be his Christmas gift, and he will just have to deal with that, I guess. So yeah, those are all the patterns that I'm currently working on now, and then I'm going to show you some of the yarns that I have left over. So my little bit of a stash that I have, but not too much of a stash. And if you have any ideas of what I can do with these yarns, that would be great. I am obviously always looking for patterns to use because I don't want to have all this yarn left over. So I have 3 skeins of this Wool and the Gang Ivory, I think it is. It's a medium weight yarn. It's all cotton. And I originally had it paired with this Madelinetosh Holy colorway. And I was making Jess from the Kitchen Witches beach tank. I was doing her knit along. And I got really excited about these colors at the time, and I was like, oh, these are going to work for me. But as you probably noticed, I wear a lot of black now. And I was knitting this up, and I got through, I think, the ribbed edging of it, and I just realized I was never going to wear this tank top in the colors that I picked, and I didn't want to go back and order a bunch more yarn. I didn't want to order a bunch more of the cotton. So I just took it all off the needles, and I said I will figure out something else to do with it. And as you all know, if you've watched my first video, is that I am also a natural dyer. So I am planning on taking these 3 skeins of ivory that I have and dyeing them up in my naturals and seeing how they interact with the dyes, and then being able to use those for a final project after. So these are not going to stay this like ivory white for forever. I think it's too light for me to work with and be really inspired by. So I showed you those 2, the Holy, while I was at Joann's. Oh, my other one is gone. I don't know where it is. While I was at Joann's, I obviously wanted to pick something up for myself. I wasn't just going to buy yarn for my partner. So I picked up this, well, it's backwards, so you won't be able to read it. But this is Boutique Unforgettable. It's a acrylic for sure, but it's this beautiful, like variegated orange-leaning rainbow. So I'm excited to use this for something. I don't know what, but it's kind of that that woolly kind of stuff where it kind of has a bit of like mohair cloud to it, but it's kind of shiny, and it's just gonna work up really well. So I'm excited about that. I still have this little ball of yarn left over from what I dyed at Cephalopod Yarns, which was a yarn dyeing company in Baltimore that sadly had to close down. But this is a ball of yarn that I still have left over from that I want to use. And then I think the last yarn that I'm going to show, before I show you my other things that I have in this box, is the Neighborhood Fiber Company Speckle. So they just recently celebrated their 10 years. My hand's too small. They just recently celebrated their 10 years, and every time that I had popped in to create a shop, I'd always been like, are you going to do Speckles? Are you going to do Speckles? Are you going to do Speckles? Because I'm freaking out about Speckles, and I wanted to support her specifically. And for her 10 years, she finally bought into it, and she started making a line of Speckles. So I can't remember if they're only for this year or if she's going to plan on continuing her line, but like, look at how beautiful this is. It's just so beautiful. So she has, I think, 5. This one, I don't remember the colorway, and I'm sorry, Korea, that I don't remember your colorway. There used to be a little tab in the middle, but it popped out, I think, when I brought this home. But this colorway is really magical, and I'm excited. It's a DK weight, and I'm excited to knit it up. I think she has them in DK and fingering. I don't think she has them in anything bulkier for the speckle. But I'm excited to use this for a project that Claire and I are going to be doing. Claire, my business partner from Wax and Wane. We're going to be knitting up these friendship shawls, and I'll explain more about those later, especially when we start them. I think it's going to be a really fun process that I think maybe my viewers or other people out there would be interested in doing the process too. So this is the beautiful speckle that I'm going to be working with. I have about 25 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep most of my videos at 30 and below. 20 to 25 seems really ideal to me, because I don't want you to be stuck in my world for too long. So I have just a few more things to show you, and then I'll let you go until next week. But I think I was talking about this last week. Some more notions that I bought, which I haven't even taken them out of the packages yet. I have my double-pointed needles that I bought, so I'm excited to work with these, being able to do the arm warmers maybe, and then also a pair of yoga socks at the same time. So being able to use these and figure out what double-pointed needles are like and what the craze is all about. And then I'm actually just going to open this up now because I want to see what it's like outside of the box. So this is my Tunisian crochet hook that I bought. It's a size 10, so 6mm, and I think this might be one of my answers to how to begin to help elevate crochet to the level that knitting's at now. So it has a crochet hook at the end, and then it's pretty long like a knitting needle. And I'm going to obviously watch some YouTube videos to figure out how to best Tunisian crochet. But if any of you out there have suggestions for patterns that I should look at, or YouTube videos to watch to actually learn Tunisian crochet, please, please, please let me know. I love hearing from you all about what is inspiring you or what can help me out in some way. So I'm excited about using this and getting that stitch definition that I'm looking for, that flatness that you get from knitting, but also like, not the ease of crochet, but it still makes a bit more sense to me. Maybe the speed of crochet. So I'm interested to see how Tunisian works out for me and what I can make in the process of learning it. I'll probably use some of my Wool and the Gang yarn just so I can see the stitches really well. So yeah, I have a few more yarns in here, but they're not really that interesting right now. And I don't have a project for them, so I won't bring them out and explain them to you. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching my second video. I am excited to come back into your computer screens next week. I'm going to try and maintain this weekly podcast, but I'm also going to see, I sometimes am really busy with traveling or with working on Wax and Wane stuff or my other job that I have. And so I don't actually knit or crochet that much, or I come home and I'm exhausted, and so I normally just like peruse Ravelry for more patterns, and I add it to my long list of patterns that I want to work on, but I never actually work on the patterns. So I don't always have things to update with, so we're going to go with every week for now, but we'll see if I need to change it to every other week. And if you have any questions or things that you want me to answer or videos that you want to make about, please let me know. And I will do that for you, and we can just have like a fun little dialogue in this process. So thank you so much again for watching this video and for subscribing to my channel if you subscribed so you can get these updates all the time. Like my video, or like the video if you like yarn. Maybe I'll say that. Like the video if you like yarn, and I will see you all next week.